Scientists, and happy Monday. You were on step 1 for today. Awesome job so far. So the first thing I'm going to do is go over our work from Friday. I've got like an answer key for you to check out with some of our questions we had. I'll show you which questions we answered on a driving question board. And then we're actually going to investigate one of our related phenomena to try and see if we can answer some questions. So let's get started. So these were some of the questions that we had last week, and I gave you an opportunity to kind of research them, Google them, to check some of off our driving question board. So these were some of our heavy-hitting questions. Can foxes breed with other animals? Foxes can breed with the same species, so they can breed with foxes, but they cannot breed with other animals. A lot of people thought that was maybe because of genetics. I know we learned about the certain number of chromosomes that animals can kind of combine, but no, foxes cannot breed with other animals. So for those of us who had that idea that maybe a fox bred with a wolf that had white coloring or some kind of other animal, unfortunately, that doesn't seem to be working out for us. What are mutations, and could these cause changes? So mutations are actually changes to DNA. We talked about them during our Ryan-Clark phenomena. For example, sickle cell was originally a mutation. Now it's kind of in the gene pool being passed around, but initially it was a mutation to a gene that controlled the hemoglobin, or like the circle of the blood. So there are two main kinds of mutations, chromosomal and then DNA level. Chromosomal mutations means like an extra or a missing chromosome. We talked about that in our Ryan-Clark unit. And then DNA mutations are changes to the structures of DNA, which was our Ryan-Clark phenomena. So sickle cell was a DNA mutation. So I am wondering if mutations could cause these changes. We saw it with Ryan-Clark. Some of you also knew that blue eyes were originally a mutation, which is really interesting. So I wonder if mutations could actually have caused some of these changes and how those mutations might have happened. Let's see. Sorry, I had to sneeze, so I paused it. Okay, so next question. So you could take a look at some of these questions on the answer key. What might happen if you put a fox in the wrong environment? If a fox was relocated to the wrong environment, it might not survive because it doesn't have the traits fit for that environment. It might die from the heat or not being able to find food or something like that. What environment or climate did the ancestor fox live in? They lived 5 million years ago, and fossil evidence of the ancestor fox was found in modern-day Tibet. At that time, it was a frigid, high-altitude climate. So very interesting for those of you who want to learn about the ancestor fox. Are ancestor foxes still alive? Nope, they're not. The ancestor lived 3.6 to 5.08 million years ago. Why did the ancestor fox move to different parts of the world? At the time, the ancestor fox, they were connected by the Bering Land Bridge between Asia and Alaska. A small group got across the land bridge and colonized the whole continent and went on their own evolutionary path. That's a quote from the article. So they must have just kind of been forced to move around a little bit. This is really interesting, this phylogenetic tree. It shows the relationship between species. So you can read about the relationships between them. Basically, if they're closer together on that line, if they're connected by that like fork, they're more closely related than when you get outward. So the ones that are on like the same fork, for example, and you can notice that most of the ones that are closer together start with the same word. Those ones are going to be more closely related than the ones that are a little bit further away. How does evolution/adaptation work? Well, we're going to save this one to answer together because it requires a little bit more information than just Googling. If you Googled it, you wouldn't find as much as we need. So that's what we're going to do together. And we're going to do that by investigating a related phenomena. So these are some of the questions that we've actually started to answer. We answered, can foxes breed with other animals? No. Can other animals adapt to their environment? Yes, because we actually gave up a few related phenomena that we thought this happened to. Our ancestor fox is still alive? No. What climate did the ancestor fox live in? Cold. So we answered a few of our questions, which is super awesome. Okay. If foxes can't breed with other species, then how did they change over time to adapt to their environment? Because that was one of our bigger explanations. So if that isn't the answer, then how did the foxes change and adapt to their environment over time? How did the Arctic fox get its white fur? How did the fennec fox get its tan fur and its big ears? How did the red fox, get its red coloring and be able to fit that environment? So that's what we're going to try and figure out by investigating a related phenomena. So we're going to be looking at peppered moths. So you're going to read this background information about peppered moths. I can read it with you. Peppered moths live in England, Europe, and North America. Their light-colored wings are peppered with dark spots. So it looks like if you sprinkled pepper on like a napkin. Predators of the peppered moths are different kinds of birds. Moths avoid predators by flying at nighttime. Peppered moths vary in color. Some are lighter and have less spots. Some are darker with more spots. This coloring is genetic. It's passed on to their offspring. So light-colored moths have light-colored offspring. If there were darker-colored moths, they'd have darker-colored offspring. So that coloring is genetic. Originally, moths were all light in color, but then a sudden dark color was caused by a mutation. That mutation was then passed on to offspring and became part of the population. The first completely dark moth was spotted in 1898. Before then, moths were all light in color. During this time, England was experiencing the Industrial Revolution, which was polluting the air with really dark smoke. So trees that had been light in color were changing to be dark in color. So this whole scenario is a related phenomena to our foxes changing. Now, this example is just one trait. It's just color. It's not ear size, fur like heaviness, and color. It's just color. But maybe if we can figure out how the peppered moths changed in color, we might be able to apply that to our foxes, which will be interesting. So these were the original peppered moths, all very light in color. You can see this one against the light tree, kind of blends in well. So we got the original peppered moths. And then after like the Industrial Revolution, we now have this kind of combination. We've got here, it's really hard to see the dark colored moth, but you can kind of see it. And the light colored moth, but then here you've got the light colored moth. Here you've got a light and dark. Here you got a light. So what do you notice about these moths? And then your last assignment for today is to complete assignment 9, the peppered moth background information, because I want to make sure that we really understand the peppered moths. We know what they are. We understand the scenario before we actually dive in to figure out how they changed over time. And then maybe we can apply that idea to our phenomena of the foxes. So by investigating a related phenomena, we might be able to figure out our foxes. So today, I just want to make sure you understand the peppered moths, that you really understand the background information, because tomorrow there's a really cool simulation where you're going to pretend to be a predator of the peppered moths, and you're going to see how they might have changed over time, which is really cool. So that's all for today. Happy National Star Wars Day. Happy May 4th. I hope you all have a wonderful Monday, and I will talk to you all soon. Email me if you have any questions at all, and I am always here for you. Bye, everybody.